I've got WordPress installed on my local development machine. It's basically just WordPress installed on my computer so that I can make some changes, add content, do whatever I need to my site. And then when I feel that it's ready to be published to the web, I can then go ahead and move it on over. So here is my WordPress website. It's installed here on my computer. I've added some dummy content and applied a theme to it. There we have it. And I want to move it from my local machine, localhost here, to the web address s2.atechapart.com. All that is a subdomain that I created in my web host so that I can upload my local WordPress installation to, so that when folks go to s2.atechapart.com, they will see this site. See, right now though, it's on my local machine, my computer, so nobody can see it, so that I can make changes and do what I need to. Alright, so I need to migrate my WordPress files over to my web host, and I've also got to move the database over to the web host also from my local installation. Now I can do this using File Manager to move those files. I prefer to use an FTP client to move those files, and I've got FileZilla here on my computer, so that's what I'll be using to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and fire up FileZilla, and I'm going to connect to my web host. This will have to be configured to connect to your web host beforehand here in FileZilla, so whatever your FTP client is, you're going to have to set up that connection first, and then it'll let you connect. And here I am. Here's my web host directory. So I'm going to go back to my control panel for my web host, go into File Manager. And we saw here that I want to move it to s2.atechapart.com. Right now it shows forbidden. That's because it's literally an empty directory. There's nothing there. So I'll be working with a clean slate. Open up Sandboxes. That's where the directory for this site is. S2, like we have up here. And we see it's an empty directory. Again, I have the option to upload files. It's got a little quirk here with the folders. You really can't just upload a folder. You've got to grab the files from within that folder. This tacks on a little bit more time and challenge than I think anybody needs right now. So one way to get around that is to use FTP to transfer these files, because it will let you transfer folders also. So back over to my FileZilla. I'm going to open the folder here on my computer where WordPress is installed. Here's the root directory. These are all the files for this WordPress installation. And I'm going to grab all of those files. I'm just going to Control A. First here I'm going to navigate to that empty directory in FileZilla. Okay, so now I've got all those files highlighted and selected. I'm going to drag it on over into FileZilla to begin the upload into that directory, and so that's what we're seeing now. This could take a little while, especially if your site is big. So while that's happening, I'm going to set up the database and get that up and running. So back over here, first thing I've got to do is I've got to export the database for my local WordPress installation. Before I can do that, I've got to change the URLs in my local database to point to the new address, which is this one here, s2.atechapart.com. Currently it's pointing towards the local host WordPress Migrate. The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to go into the dashboard of my WordPress installation here on my local machine, go down to Settings, General, And right here, WordPress URL and site address URL. Here's the URL that we use to access the local installation, which is this one right here. I got to change that to the new destination, which is s2.atechapart.com. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it in to replace these two. After that's in, just to verify, let's, okay, yep. Be careful with this here. So just double check. Perfect. Select Save Changes. When you see this right here, that's normal. What's happened here is that now with the change of the address, is pointing to the new location. So when it refreshed here, the URLs, the new URLs were already in place. So we've got the s2.atechapart.com, and so we get this error. Basically, we are not able to access the dashboard when it makes this change. But this can be reversed. But for now, I've got what I need. It's made the change to the URLs in my local installation, my local WordPress installation database. So with that change, I can now export it. So I'm going to go to my WordPress Migrate database. You want to make sure that you're in the database. Select Export. Select Custom. Make sure that all tables are selected. Select all. Down here, save output to a file name template. I like to call it LocalDB. You can call it whatever you want, or leave it at default, whatever that is. Compression, I'm going to select gzipped. Everything else, I'm going to leave as is. Select Go to export my database file. It creates it. Here it is, localdb.sql.gz for gzip. I'm going to save it. See it right up here. Let me go to open that up to see the file. There it is, localdb SQL GZ. Let me go ahead and minimize that, and I'm going to go to my control panel here on my web host. I need to navigate over to MySQL databases. Okay. And once I'm in there, I've got one database that's to my main atechapart.com site, but I need to add another database for the new WordPress installation here on the web host. So I'm going to select Add Database, and I'm going to give it the same database name, username, and password as the local installation. So it's just going to mirror my local installation credentials. So here with Word database name, I'm going to call it WordPress Migrate. The username is going to be the same as the local installation. So here I am in the phpMyAdmin for my local installation. I can see that up here. I'm going to go to WordPress Migrate. Here it is, WordPress_migrate. So that's the database name that I have here. The username, I created the user here in the home page. If I go to users, there's the user for the database WordPress Migrate. It's right down here. Here's the user, WordPress_migrate. There's a character limit here on phpMyAdmin. It does not let me plug in the E, so I just proceeded with Migrate. And the password that I gave this user is the same as the database name. So I'm going to go ahead and put in for the username, Migrate. Password is just going to be the same as database name. That's all I'm doing. Add a database. Okay, database is created. Now I've got to go into the database and import the tables from my local WordPress installation. So I'm going to access the phpMyAdmin. Right here I can see the database. It's empty. It's got 0, no tables in there. I'm going to select it. Go to import. I'm going to browse for that file. There it is. Open. Select Go to bring those in. And there it is. I can see it on the left. Those are all the tables. Okay. With that done, I've got to do one more thing here. But first, let's see what the progress of these files are. So they're still transferring. I'm looking for the WP config file. So it looks like it's in there. If I open that up, okay, so this is the WP config file that is on the remote server, which is the web server now. So if I open that up, that file, I've got it here in Sublime. It just opens it up with some text editor. Here's all our credentials. I've got to change this local host because now I'm not local host anymore. It's going to be on the web server and it's got its own host name. I can find that right here under Generate Code. So I click on that. It's going to give me a server name. Your hosting provider might have a different way of accessing this. If you are you do not have access to it immediately, contact tech support or administrators and have them point you in the right direction to get this information. But there we have it. For me, it's going to be atechpart.ipagemysql.com. I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to paste that in place of localhost. I'm going to save it. And if I go back to FileZilla, it's going to ask me if I want to upload those changes. Yes. Now this is going to take a little while longer, so I'm going to go ahead and pause here, fast forward to when it's done, and wrap up with the rest of the migration. Looks like all files have finished transferring, so now with the changes that I've made, I'm going to try the website s2.atechpart.com. And there's a database connection error. I'm going to go ahead and look into that. Okay, and the reason why it is giving me a database error is going to be coming from the WP config file. The password is incorrect, so I'm going to go over to my file manager. And navigate to the directory where my WordPress installation lives. S2. Look for the WP config file. There it is. I'm going to edit the file. Then I'm going to go up to where that password is at. And there it is. WordPress Migrate should be Migrate. Save the file. It looks like it's saved, and now if I refresh the page, there is the WordPress site. I'm going to go ahead and log into the dashboard. Migrate. Try that again. Naturally, that password for the dashboard is Migrate, WordPress Migrate. And there it is. So we're all set.